Welcome, my remarkable denizens of the internet. I am Zachimus Prime, aka Zachimus Prime, here with another Transformers third-party review. Today, we will be reviewing some more of my Legends class figures that I got recently. This is the Unique Toys Schunck and Betta. And I'm not sure exactly which one's Schunck and which one's Betta. I think this one's Schunck and this one's Betta. But they are based off of Skull Cruncher, Skull Smasher, and Hardhead. Though clearly they're not the same thing because, you know, the real ones are much bigger. Yeah, we'll go with that. But anyhow, we'll look at them one at a time. First, we're going to look at Betta, Hardhead. Yeah, not Hardhead. Anyhow, so here's their take on Hardhead. He's really fun. So first of all, I want to say that I have really been impressed by everything I've held by Unique Toys so far. I got the Unique Toys Perukil, and it's the most impressive movie figure I have. And I have a number of movie figures, so I mean, I'm not being super crazy about. I'm not being super selective, I guess, is what I don't know. What am I trying to say? I have a few, and that's the best one I got. And then I reviewed all of the Springers together, and the Unique Toy Springer was my favorite Springer, though the color wasn't my favorite color, but you know, maybe we'll get them to fix it someday. Maybe they won't. I don't know. And then the Unique Toys Combaticons have all been awesome so far. And then I picked up these guys, and I was super impressed with them. So let's get into it. This is a super, super tiny Legends scale Unique Toys take on Hardhead. And it's a pretty good figure. I wouldn't say that's a perfect figure, but it's pretty good. He definitely is well representative of the character he's supposed to be. Pretty good from the back view as well. Not a whole lot of like kibble and chunk and stuff. Their plastics that they have has this like matte finish. You find it all through their Combaticons and all through Alan. Not quite as much on Perukil because pretty much the whole figure's painted. But it's kind of a cool thing. It looks good. But let's get into the posability. He does not have any kind of head articulation because he's got the whole headmaster gimmick. His shoulders are on ball joints, so they'll go in and out about that like that. Go all the way around. Ball jointed elbows, so they will bend. If I pull his gun out, maybe it'll bend full. Yeah, just over 90 degrees. And also pivot on that. No wrist articulation. But, you know, it's a little Legends figure. He's already got more posability than most Hasbro Legends figures. Look, a waist joint. He's got ball jointed hips, which allow for that much forwards and that much back, and the full Van Damme, maybe even like 102% Van Damme. I don't know. Knees will move 90 degrees. He's got actually ankle articulation and a dedicated pivot. So he's a pretty good figure. He doesn't have any kind of a thigh swivel, mostly because you've got this tab here, or this slot, which is a transformation critical slot. And it would be hard to engineer all that stuff around that. So his articulation does suffer a bit from that. No head articulation either, because it would, I don't know, like I'm sitting at this and I'm thinking that they could have put that slot in like some sort of a ring system so that it could still articulate, but then you'd have to worry about, you know, the edges of his head banging into like these, you know, hinges on the shoulders, and I don't know, like I feel that they could have addressed that, but maybe it would have caused more problems. The face sculpt on him is really nice. Like that is like totally Hardhead. good orange paint and blue paint on that. It's molded in that cream color. Also, check this out, something that Hasbro didn't do. He's got little tech specs in his chest. That's super awesome. I geeked out when I saw that. He does come with 2 guns here, and then he's got his 3rd gun here on the back. These are all removable. But yeah, he's just super fun. Hardhead has been one of my favorite figures. I think I mentioned that in my Titans Return Hardhead review that maybe 3 of you watched. But let's get him transformed up. First thing we're going to do is we're going to take off his guns. I'm going to actually take off this one as well. And then let's take off his head. By the way, his little head guy does turn into a guy. Just this little tiny, and he's got little paint apps on him too. Like, how cool is that? Because of the way this joint in here is done, it looks like he's wearing like a massive saggy diaper, but you know, still doesn't look as bad as the Titanium's Soundwave, but that's a story for another time. He does this is essentially a double joint here, so he can move his legs up into that position, which is where he needs to be for vehicle mode. Let's put him to the side. So to get him transformed up, first thing we're going to do is we're going to unpeg this hinge, bring that straight up. The elbows will fold like this, and then this peg will go into this slot right here, like so. And again for the other side. I do kind of wish that there's something that like pegged into these slots on the forearm to kind of cover up this spot here. But, you know, it's a Legends class figure, so you kind of cut it some slack, and it works out all right. We're going to take and we're going to angle up the toes, and then we're going to bend this at this joint right here. That will disconnect this peg, which allows us to disconnect this peg. Disconnect. And then we're going to fold this. Let me see. Then this tab goes into this slot. And we're going to fold this all the way around. And we're going to peg these knees together here. And then this peg goes into that slot there. And then his cockpit opens up. Actually, the entire back of the tank mode opens up. This little guy is going to go in the cockpit very nicely. Close that up. Again, goes back on there. Then we'll take these and we'll plug them into these tabs on the bottom of the feet, which is now the back of the tank. And there he is in his tank mode. He looks great in his tank mode. Like, this is a fun little toy that you can put in your hand. You can put it in your pocket. You can take it with you when you go to work, or if you happen to be one of those people who goes to church and you're bored, then you can like play with it, you know, in class or something. I mean, not that I really advocate playing with toys in class. You should be learning, but it's just a nice little tank guy. It gives the I mean, there are some, like, that ball joint kind of ruins the idea of this whole tread thing, you know. This looks like it would be better suited to be the front of this track than this part, but you know, you deal with it. It looks good from the front to the back. There's one issue that I have with this, is that not as much stuff tabs in this mode as I would like. Like, this will bend, and this will bend, and they will bend happily. So you kind of lose some, you know, structural integrity in the tank mode, but you know what? It's pretty good. It's pretty good. I like it. So we're going to put this off to the side for a bit. And we're going to bring out Schunck. Skull Crusher Smasher. And again, he's a really good representation of Skull Cruncher. I like him a lot. All the colors are on point. The pink and the green and the off-white, barely off-white actually. I don't like the way this thing sits out like that. Either you can have it as like a butt flap or you can have it kind of hugging the dyno mode. I don't really like it in either position. It does get in the way less in terms of waist articulation when you have it hanging down, but then it's a butt flap and it's an obnoxious butt flap. So I don't know. It's frustrating. I wish that there was a better way to do that. And I feel like maybe there could have been, but I don't know. I'm not the one to judge this sort of thing. Anyhow, some of the cool things he's got. So he comes with this little gun, and he comes with this little tail sword thing, which has got scales on both sides, I guess. He does also have, and this one's a little harder to pull up because, let me use my little tool here. He does also have tech specs, which is super awesome. I think that's so cool. I liked Headmasters when I was a kid, and one of the things I liked about them is that they had a little tech spec function. And then when Titans Return figures came out, I'm like, yeah, but they didn't have tech specs, and I was like, oh. So it's a minor detail, but it's one that I like. In terms of articulation, again, his head doesn't really turn. It's got a little bit more wiggle for whatever reason. But it's not really posability per se. His arms are on this. I mean, they're on a ball joint here, but they also move up and down on this pin. So you can get him all the way up. You can do the full tree pose and not even crush his head too much. That's kind of cool. Arm goes all the way around. Elbows are on the ball joint as well, so they will bend a little more than 90 degrees and turn freely. Let's pull this out. Let's pull this out. He does have, as I mentioned before, a waist swivel. Though this thing right here looks sillier the more you move it. It's the only thing I don't like about this robot mode. It's sad. Legs will move forward all the way, move backwards all the way, move out all the way. His knees are also on a ball joint, so they will bend. Lots of bend there. Of course, I mean, they bend all the way for the alt mode, so there's a deep bend there and works as a swivel as well. Toes have got a bit of articulation to them. This foot right here acts as a heel piece, and it's posable, so he's got pretty good support, pretty good articulation. Because this is on a little ball joint in here, you can put it like this or you can put it like this. I found that for posability, for posing this figure in stability, this is the way to go for sure. And he's great. He's fun. I like him a lot. I actually, in a lot of ways, I like him more than Hardhead, even though Hardhead is like my favorite Headmaster. I like this guy a lot. This is a very well made toy. And it's very well engineered as well. Just admiring that green. It just looks, there's like a little bit of a metallic sheen to the plastic. And it just makes it just look so good. So good. All right, let's get him transformed up again. By the way, let's zoom in on the face real quick. Focus, Grasshopper. Pretty good face sculpt, all in all. And pretty good sculpt on this little guy too. It is not the same sculpt as the other Headmaster, which I like. Well, I mean, the feet, I think, are the same legs. But, you know, legs are legs are legs. But the little chest detail is different and the head detail is a bit different. And so, anyhow, and these are just flippin' tiny, by the way. Like, I mean, I'm close enough that you can probably see the machine dust between my fingers. Because I'm a machinist during the day sometimes. Anyhow, so let's get him transformed up. First thing we're going to do is we're going to raise up this tech spec again. And then we're going to pull on that. And that disconnects this tab from in there, which allows the body to rotate wildly. Then we're going to bend the whole body forward on this hinge right here. Unfortunately, cannot be used as a ab crunch, not really at least. We're going to rotate it right here, and then we're going to pull it back up, and then we're going to pull this out and rotate that 180 degrees. Now, these arms here have got this tab on the front. It looked like it was just a surface detail, but it is an actual tab, because that's going to go into this little square on the back. So we're going to rotate this around, and it will just kind of seat into that square. You can feel it go in. The same with this one on the other side. We are getting places, guys. So we're going to take this and we're going to push this and feed this through all the way to the other side. All the way. And now this tab is going to fit into this slot. I think that's actually the same slot. No, it's not. It's going to fit into that slot right there. And that's going to form the cockpit area of Skull Cruncher. We're going to turn this around 180 degrees. And we're going to pull these little feet out of the way, rotate this, and then fold them in. And they will, there's a slot here and a tab in there. The tab will fit into that slot and hold it pretty securely, I think. And then here it's just a matter of putting the legs all in order. And then we're going to take this tail here. There's a structure in here that makes a slot. This tab is going to fit into that. Make sure that's pulled out all the way. And then last but not least, you can store his gun right here. It's not the best storage in the world, but you know what? It's better than nothing, I think. Take him, bend him like he's sitting. He's going to sit happily inside that little cockpit and close him up. And there he is in his alligator mode. And this is actually really cool, because it's a tiny little Legends class figure, but it actually has better articulation and better transformation than the deluxe class Hasbro version. So that's really cool, actually. I like it a lot. I like it a whole lot. His crock mouth will open, so he can, like, you know, have a crock meal. Maybe he eats it out of a crock pot. I don't know. A little bit of rotation there. Mostly for transformation, but you know, he can also look up and down because he's got this transformation joint here. But if you use it just a bit, I think it passes really well. It's cool little like rockets or spikes on the front. That's kind of a fun idea. Ball joint here at the front arm, and he's got a dedicated like knee joint. No pivot here because that's all locked in. Because he's got the ball joints for his hips there, there's a little bit of flex there. I don't know if it doesn't feel like it's meant to be intentional, but it is coincidental. He does have ball joints here at these other legs, mostly useful for rotation. There's no forward or back motion at there, but you can move it forward and back at the toe joint. So there you have that. And yeah, so his his croc mode is actually better than Hasbro's, I would say. I mean, sure, it's not bigger, but as I tell people, you know, if you have two things that do the same thing and one of them's smaller than the other, the smaller one is cooler because anybody can make something bigger. Making something smaller takes talent, and there's definitely a lot of talent that went into this figure. Um, all in all, these figures are really great. I am going to pick up all of the rest of the Unique Toys Headmasters. They are astounding, and I am super excited for them. I really, really love these things, and I recommend that you do too. If you like, if you're collecting Legends class figures, or if you like the Legends class figures, or if you're just a fan of toys with good engineering, these may be for you. Anyhow, thank you so much for watching. You guys are awesome. I'll see you in the next review. Everybody be good to each other and have a great day. See ya.